Okay, so we're going to be factoring polynomials by grouping today. This is when you have four terms. Okay, so anytime you're asked to factor something, you see four different terms. Factoring by grouping should pop in your head first. Okay, now the first step is to put the first two in parentheses and then the last two in parentheses. All right. Now, second step, it says factor out the GCF of each binomial. Well, in this first group, in the red parentheses, the GCF is x. All right. In the second group, the GCF is 2. Actually, it should be x squared, not x. Sorry. Missed that. All right. Now, this next step is what confuses a lot of people. You put the GCFs together in one set of parentheses, and then you put what's written twice in there. Now, odd thing is, factoring by grouping is actually double distributive property in reverse. Okay, so if you did double distributive property last week on this stuff or this week on the test, all right, if you had this problem, and you did double distributive property, you would have cut this here at x squared times this plus 2, and you would distribute it and stuff. Factoring by grouping is actually double distributive property in reverse. Okay, yes. Yeah, yeah. I just didn't write it down. Like I could have actually done this right here. I could have written down, I'd have divided out by x squared and divided each part by 2. I just didn't do that. Probably needed to since I had somebody ask a question. Okay, but usually in the past, factoring by grouping is what a lot of people do really well on. And it used to be the basis for another thing that we had to cover, but now we don't have to cover that. So our factoring is a little bit easier. All right. So first thing, number one, we're going to put parentheses around those two groups. Okay. Now, what's the GCF of this first one? Yep, x cubed. What's the GCF of the second grouping? 2. So we have x cubed. And we're going to have 2. Now, this is the point when you should really know if you've factored correctly or if you have the right GCF. The reason why is these two parts should match. After you factor out the GCF from both parts, what's in the parentheses should match. Okay, so I write my GCFs together. So x cubed plus 2 goes right here. And what I had in my leftovers goes in the back. And you just write it once. Now, good news for y'all, y'all don't have to write it because your tests and stuff will be on the Schoology. But, you know, it's still the process. Okay? Still the process. All right. Number 2. First step is parentheses every time. All right. Excuse me. What is the GCF of this first group right here? Biggest number that will divide 8 and 12. 4. And then we're going to have an X with it. What's the only thing you can divide out of 2xy and 3y? Y. Okay, so I factored out. GCFs go together. Leftovers go together. So yesterday was factoring by GCF, which is basically the double distributed property in reverse or distributed property reverse. Today is factoring by grouping, which is double distributed property in reverse. Okay. Excuse me. All right. Anybody need more time here? Are we good? If you ever need more time, you need to just like holler at me. Don't throw something at me because I might not be paying attention. And I've got a big head, so I'm a fairly easy target right here. The only thing you would have an issue with throwing something at me is getting it over those anti-COVID shields on your desk. I know. See, I think I'm kind of glad I'm not an elementary teacher in these things because, spit wads and stuff would be very popular. So, if you had them facing each other, people would try to shoot them through the little handles right there. So you would have like a whole shield like full of spit wads. Yeah. All right. Number 3. Parentheses. Yeah, that would kind of be fun. Well, when Coach Wood, the volleyball coach, used to be right here on the other side where Miss Stockman is, I would hear a ruckus, and that's because they would do trench warfare. So they would actually line up the desk and throw paper wad hand grenades at each other. And I'm like, this is perfect. So, all right, what's the GCF between 6 and 3? 3. And we could also take out a Y. What about between 2YZ and Z? Z. And what everybody wants to do right now is to catch some Z's. Yeah. Tell you what, later today, I want to crash like a crack addict when I get home. Just going to. Sometimes on Friday, I might not make it to 8 o'clock. I'm not going to lie. I'm just that tired. Yeah, I know. I live a exciting life. All right. Number 4. I want y'all to kind of pay attention to number 4. Not only am I going to grab these things right here, but yesterday we had something where it said the leading coefficient is negative. We actually have to grab that minus right there in front of that 5x. Okay. Now, our GCF here is going to be x squared. And we know our GCF here is going to be a negative something. What's the GCF of 5 and 10? 5. Yeah, 3. Yeah. I'm loving the sarcasm. The fact that you're actually understanding enough to make sarcastic jokes makes me feel good as a teacher. So really, when we got a minus right here in that second grouping, we just got to make sure that we grab it with that parenthesis, okay? Believe it or not, teaching this lesson right here is a lot easier when you are in a rural town where lots of people have cattle and you talk about corralling the cattle or the horses and stuff. They're like, man, I get that. That's what we do the best. Okay. So, I mean, because you're herding them up and stuff. So they're like, that's just like the cattle corrals. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we got to get them in, get the worm medicine in the spring. So, sorry, I got tickled. I tickled my own self. So, all right. GCF here between 3 and 5 is going to be 3. Then x squared. Make sure you grab this negative because we got to take out a negative 2. All right. I doubt any of y'all watch Yellowstone. Your parents probably do, but it's a really good show and they deal with a lot of cattle and stuff. Like the ranch is the size of Delaware. Yeah, it is. It's like, I forget how many thousands of acres. It makes me want to go to Montana, but not really stay in Montana. Yeah. All right. I didn't pull out the GCF for the second one because I was kind of wanting y'all to get there so we can kind of talk about it a little bit. We know we're going to have to take out a negative. But what's the only thing we can divide out of x and 3? 1. So we're actually going to factor out a negative 1. Okay. Yeah, there's not a back today. Woohoo! Now, this stuff isn't very difficult. It just takes a little bit more time. And people work at different paces. But this stuff I really do like. I like it a lot. I know I'm weird. Don't look at me with those eyes. All right. Now, I'm going to stop the lesson right here. I'm going to let y'all. Wait, no. This is actually for your homework. Ha ha! So, yeah, I know we could do it as a class. I know what y'all are doing.